Okay, we'll move on to the second briefing item, which is the financial results from May 31st. Larry, if you'll take that, please.
Good morning. Starting with the statement of operations, I'm going to turn to page 4. Okay, this first bar chart is intended to provide perspective to the group around how our fare revenue has trended over the last 3 months. Of particular note, I'll draw your attention to the month of May, looking at the revenue that is brought forth under the student bucket. You'll see that is actually under 0, okay? And the question would be asked, how can that possibly be? During the month of May and actually subsequently in the month of June, we're going to be initiating the first of 2 true-ups associated with the CPS relationship that is a function of underutilized passes that have been given to CPS throughout the course of the school year. And so that one issue actually drove the favorability into the red for CPS during the month of May. The second major note to look at this on this page would be the fact that the average revenue per day in terms of total fare revenue for Metro is actually favorable or significantly up rather compared to the prior month at $38. There were 2 causes associated with that. One would be day pass sales and the other would be outlet sales. Cumulatively, those 2 buckets accounted for $150,000 in revenue over the month of April.
This might be a John question. Where are we on the CPS relationship and going into next school year?
Larry is negotiating a new contract for next year now.
Oh, great.
We have initiated discussions with CPS. There's not been any formal agreements made at this point. There is a myriad of questions that are going back and forth around content, specifically around the anticipated student demand for CPS next year. They are in the early stages of trying to estimate the number of students that will participate. And then from there, we're going to be looking at a comprehensive review of all the contract components, looking to shore up some of the opportunities that we believe exist that will help us not only drive revenue, but also stabilize our revenue streams going into the next school year. So more to come.
That contract will come back to this board as well.
Timing-wise, the school year is supposed to start, I believe it's the 17th of August. So we've got 2 months to successfully navigate through all the details that are involved with bringing that contract discussion to close.
All right, one last question. Just seeing all of the angst around this in the last couple of years, what's the tone of it right now?
I think over the past year, we've made great strides in cultivating a relationship with the leadership of CPS. I know John and Darryl have interacted significantly with the superintendent, and I've tried to maintain very strong relationships with the director of transportation and some of the folks that are involved with capturing data to and fro on a monthly basis. So I'm optimistic that our contract negotiations will flow very smoothly.
I am as well. One of the things that was really interesting, they hired a consultant to come in and take a look at the overall system of how they can make things better with some of the challenges they had. And I was really pleased to see that one of the top recommendations that the consultant made was to put the 7th and 8th graders back on Metro. Relationship has been relatively smooth.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's great, the relationship. Do we see any challenges with scheduling?
No, not at this time.
Not at this time.
Yeah.
They did tell us about the school time changes that they were making for this year, and they told us early enough, so that's all been worked into our planning assumptions.
Excellent.
Good question.
Okay, turning the page to number 5. This next page looks at operating expense sources over the course of the last 3 months. Particular note, we'll see that wages and benefits, total wages and benefits is actually up fairly significantly from the prior month. We're still doing a fair amount of root cause analysis there, but I can tell you that there was a very large training class that was a part of the expenses that showed up in the month of May. And so that's the biggest item that we've been able to put our fingers on at this point that helps explain the increase month over month. And then turning to page 6, this is intended to give you an overview of the total operation for the month of May. Total revenue came in at $16.8 million, which is pretty much on budget. Total expense at $12.5 million, which is favorable to budget, $192,000 or 1.5%. Surplus for the month of May came in at $4.4 million, which is favorable to budget, $188,000. Again, noting that that figure would have been materially larger had we not had the CPS true-up. And then ridership, which we'll hear a little bit more about in greater detail in the next committee meeting, is $1.2 million, which is favorable to budget, $79,000.
Larry, when will we see the federal dollars start to dissipate?
The budget calls.
September?
That's correct. The budget calls for the majority of the federal aid going away in the month of September.
So we'll start to see that surplus go away, okay.
Well, you'll start to see the, we did factor that into the P&L, okay? So I would expect, looking at in the last quarter of the year, that's a astute observation, okay? I wouldn't expect to see $4 and $5 million surpluses budgeted in the last quarter of the year. You good, Rod?
I have things rolling around in my head, but I'll wait.
Okay. All right. Turning our attention to the detail associated with the income statement, total fares came in at $1.2 million, which is favorable to budget, $287,000. We've just discussed the impact of CPS. Non-transportation revenue continues to be favorable, driven by the investment income for the portfolio. County sales tax for the month of May is coming in unfavorable at $95,000, although I do anticipate reporting that in the next cycle that we apparently have turned the corner. I'm going to call one data point an opportunity to say we turned the corner on sales tax receipts. We were just recently informed that the March receipts were favorable to budget. So we'll take that as a win.
February?
I'm sorry?
Didn't we have a month it was unfavorable?
Well, this is the second month in a row that we've been unfavorable. February was less unfavorable than January, and we've turned the corner to about $100,000 favorable in the month of March in terms of total receipts received. And then grants, as just discussed here, are on budget. Looking at wages and benefits, favorable to budget, $318,000. Some timing associated with vacation expense and sick leave. Fuel and lubricants, this is actually a watch out for the organization right now. We did end up showing approximately $46,000 unfavorable, or 7% unfavorable to budget. There are some fairly significant pricing pressures that we're experiencing that are impacting those results. Parts and supplies, $814,000, which is unfavorable to budget, $80,000. Root cause there being timing associated with printed materials and equipment and furniture under $5,000. And any all other bucket is pretty much on plan. So that concludes my comments on the P&L. Any questions or additional concerns like to be raised at this point in time? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. Looking at the investment of funds summary report, we'll get additional detail here under the action item for the investment portfolio, but the current portfolio for the month of May stands at $152 million. Looking at how that positions us for our capital reserve obligations, we continue to maintain an estimate of $60 million in support of the BRT initiative. The center section of the report, which it is intended to capture detail around our capital projects, We're showing a fair amount of stability here, not much volatility in month to month, although I can share with you that going forward, we've decided to make an estimate associated with grants that we believe will be obligated that will have some impact on the capital reserve that we need to set aside in support of those grants. There'll be an offset to a certain extent on the capital projects. And so as I look forward to the next month's reporting, we'll be bringing an additional line item that will factor in that logic. Looking at the bottom line here which shows $26.8 million, which is a cumulative effect of our investment portfolio and the current capital reserve obligations that we've set aside. We've got a net unrestricted and securities balance in the remaining 23 operating budget, which cums to $26.8 million. I will also note very quickly that our investment portfolio is expected to materially bump between now and the next time you see the reporting, which is attributable to us bringing in the 5307, but also an agreement that was made with Claremont County, which will pump our revenue approximately $5 million.
Remind me, 5307?
Federal formula.
Correct.
And just, I can't remember, the 2 months of operating expenses, what's our goal? 11?
Right. Our board policy is 2 months. The current board policy is 2 months, which we're estimating at $12 million per. There has been discussion internally about the prospect of increasing that, but I'll tell you that that's a very fine line to walk as we think about continued preparation for the myriad of capital projects that the organization is pursuing. And so we'll continue to look for internal discussion and gain alignment on that subject.
I support that, by the way.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for the report. I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve the investment funds report that Larry just presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, any discussion around that? All right, we'll do a voice vote for this one. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, so passed. Now we have our proposed approval for the 24 grant application. Did I skip something?
We actually did talk through the TIF.
Oh, the TIF. Okay.
The investment of funds report associated with the Transit Infrastructure Fund. Overnight investments currently stand at $54.2 million. Securities and CDs stand at $31.4 million, cuming to $85.7 million. The weighted average yield associated with that portfolio was 4.38%, which is up approximately 18 basis points from the prior period.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the TIF report. And do I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay. All right. I guess we'll go ahead. The grant application information now.
This next action item is intended to seek approval being provided to the CEO and CFO of the organization that will empower us to apply for grants as we see that are in the best interest of the organization. This is a requirement that is required by the Federal Transit Administration in addition to the state of Ohio. And so at this point, we would like to request the authorization to move forward and apply for grants as we see fit that will benefit Metro.
So moved.
All right, it's been moved, and we will present this to the full board next week. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, have a second. Voice vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Chanel, can we add this to the consent agenda for next week? Any other new business to present? With that, our finance meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
including a bus purchase, which is pretty exciting. But before we get there, well, we did the pledge, but we had two new people. So, I always think it's good to say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. So, before we can get to those other things, we have the minutes. I hope you've all been able to look at it. Any questions, concerns, changes? If not, I'll move the passage of the minutes from last month. Could I get a second? Second. Probably moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say left. Any abstentions? All right, the minutes do pass. And that takes us on to the good news. John and everybody, take it away.
Good morning. Thank you, sir. Plenty of good stuff to share. As always, let's start with our most recent Silver Award recipients. Adrian, please.
All right. Good morning. So celebrating our Silver Wheel Award recipients again this month. First, we have Brendan Smith, who is a Bond Hill maintenance employee, and he's being recognized for his professionalism. He understands very well the scope of his job, highly dependable, always creates a positive environment, and willing to help others. So congratulations to Brendan. In our leadership employee of the month, we have Vicki Hickman. Vicki Hickman is part of the HR team, and we're glad to have her. Vicki's always willing to perform other duties as assigned. Displays exceptional dependability and is very professional. She recently contributed to the success of IT's Trapeze Premium Pay project, which has been a huge project for the operations group, and also led the Myers-Briggs type indicator training during our leadership development training program. So thank you to Vicki. Queensgate maintenance employees, Jaquez Marion. Jaquez performs his job well, completes his tasks without requiring much supervision. He's always willing to help and spread positivity amongst his peers and takes pride in his job. So congratulations to Jaquez. Next we have Marquita Howard. Marquita is the Bond Hill operator of the month. Marquita is committed to her job. She's grown as an operator. She's been with us probably about 3 years. She provides great customer service and maintains a good attitude towards her supervisors, her peers, and her customers. So congratulations to Jaquita. And then we've got Administrative Support Employee of the Month, Suzanne Gilkey. Suzanne is part of the Marketing and Communications team. She manages her time well, executes her project with a degree of professionalism. Her recent design of the Access Handbook was remarkable, and she's been a model employee, so we congratulate Suzanne. And then our Queensgate Operator of the Month is Ken Rhodes. Ken is a veteran operator. He's been with us many years and consistently performs a high quality of work. He recognizes needs of his customers and rolls out the red carpet for his customers, is what's been said. His absenteeism rate is 0.1%. His OTP is 96.4%. And they just wanted to commend him on his dedication and commitment to Metro. So congratulations to this month's April Silver Wheel winners. Next slide. Okay, and then next, wanted to talk about Metro at the Juneteenth block party. So we are really excited as an employer to be one of the first businesses that recognize Juneteenth and as a paid holiday. So we've had it probably about 3 years as a paid holiday for our employees in observance of the emancipation of enslaved African Americans. So we had an opportunity to be a sponsor at this year's Juneteenth block party, which is presented by the Palooza Noir organization at the Banks. So on Saturday, the 17th, we had a booth downtown on the Banks with multiple employees from within HR and operations. We manned the booth from about 4 to 11 p.m., just talking to the individuals that were down there about our career opportunities and passing out great swag. So it was a great opportunity for Metro to be a sponsor, participate in this Juneteenth celebration. So, and that is part of the good news. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Adrian. June is also Safety Month. We have a number of celebrations and also training activities as well. I'd like to invite Mike Weil up to give us a little feel for what's happened already in June and a very special event next week. Mike.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So it's been an exciting June already. We had our company picnics at each of the facilities at the first week, and I want to thank the executive team who made a presence at all three of them. So those picnics, we had the best attendance we've ever had, in fact, at all three of those. We almost ran out of hot dogs, but we made through. So the following week, we had CPR and AED awareness training at all three facilities, and we also have that scheduled for the Huntington Center on the 28th, so that'll be coming your way. Forthcoming, we still have the SIP meetings. That's our Safety Information Program meetings. Those are continuous all throughout the day, where the operators come in and we teach them things about defensive driving techniques. And we're starting to utilize the Smith system keys. We're not using the Smith system. We still use our normal training system, but to aim high, big picture, keep your eyes moving, leave yourself an out, and make sure they see you are all good things to use in everyday driving. And then we have our safety luncheon forthcoming. That'll be at the American Sign Museum on June 27th. So I look forward to seeing everyone there. Online training is also available for all of our employees. Evacuation training, suspicious package, severe weather, active shooter, and then there are a couple of industrial safety courses as well. So thank you, John. And anybody have any questions for me? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mike. We also had the pleasure of wishing a happy retirement to operator Mark Gibson. Mark retires from the Bond Hill Garage with 23 years of service and now a record for the most unique retirement celebration. Mark came in and gave gifts out to those in attendance. He gave gifts out, had a raffle style, had a true celebration, and it was a real insight into Mark as a person, as a soul. He gets through his days and career through the motto FPP, as he calls it, faith, prayer, and patience. So good advice from Mark, and a lot of us walked away with something as well, and not just the gifts, but the pleasure of working with Mark all these years. So best wishes, Mark Gibson, on a well-deserved retirement. We also attended the Adopt a Class Celebration Breakfast, their 20th anniversary. It's our first year in the program. We've just completed that year and started off our Adopt a Class partnership in award-winning fashion. Metro was recognized as a Corporate Partner of the Year for growth, not only helping to grow the Adopt a Class program itself, but also our own pledge to maybe have one class that we would mentor. Instead, Natalie thought we could get 5, I believe. So in a room of 400 or so guests at the beautiful Green Acres facility, they went on and on for about 5 minutes about all of Natalie's work and the team. And thanks to Natalie and all those in attendance, I'll share this. Award winners came up, and one representative had a picture, took the plaque. Well, we took over the stage instead. So all 9 or 10 of us went up there. It does take everybody. Kudos to the team leads here pictured, and we're looking for an even bigger participation in the Adopt a Class program next year. Thank you, Natalie, and everyone. Metro APCs now certified by NTD for the first time in our history. So we've certified APC as our ridership reporting system for the 3-year reporting period of 2022 through 25. We've passed this certification step with flying colors in no small part, and certainly in thanks to the scheduling and planning team. You see Steve Anderson here and Mark Simon. Well-deserved recognition here. Great work, gentlemen and team. Now APC's fleet-wide and now certified as our way for reporting ridership to NTD. And to close us out, Brandy's got some exciting news, some partnerships here supporting learning through the art and a whole host of June events. Brandy.
Good morning. So we have sponsored Learning Through Art, which is a organization that really focuses on helping families and children embrace arts in the community and learn through art experiences. And this is one event that we sponsor for several years and are happy to do every year. So it is 50 cents to ride the Metro Route 46 to go to the Cincinnati Zoo, which also is offering reduced admission for their Kids, Cultures, Critters, and Crafts Festival. And so families and children can take advantage of a discounted fare to access this festival, as well as reduce admission to the zoo to take parts in learning and exploring arts. And so we're happy to facilitate in that capacity. So spread the word to anyone who would like to hop on board. And also there will be our artists and musicians on board our buses. So those who are riding with the reduced fare will also have an experience while they're enjoying the Metro service. Summer is a busy time for Metro with lots of festivals and parades and events, and so we are everywhere that anyone will allow us to be. So if there's somewhere that you know that we should be that we are not, please let us know, and we will add that to our calendar. But we want to share with you all just a few of the destinations that we have been so far this month and where we are planning to be for the rest of the month and a few early dates in July. So from Touch a Truck events to the Pride Festival to the Juneteenth Festival, as you just heard about, and many more, you can catch Metro representatives there. We're handing out swags. At many of these, we have a vehicle on site, whether it's our Metro bus or our Metro Now vehicles that we have. We're letting people come on board, try them out, get familiar with our services, and also pick up some really cool Metro swag along the way. So be sure to stop by and say hi if you see us in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. There's a few shots of our safety picnics there. Mike, I'll do my part next year to make sure we run out of hot dogs. I thought I made a good run at it this year. I'll do better. That's the news.
Thank you very much. That's a lot of great news. I love to hear all the outreach and comments.
Get a better understanding of what's the automated transit counter. So every time someone goes on the bus, there's something that's counted.
Sure. There's a whole host of sensors around all the doors, and they're much more intricate than that. They take into account wheelchair activity. They take into account stepping on and off the bus, driver on and off the bus. So instead of using the fare box, which isn't the most reliable technology, we've got sensors on the bus that actually detect ridership, now deployed fleet-wide, and those are the ridership numbers you've seen reported this year. We now budget using APC ridership. We're reporting APC ridership. But to do all of that, we had to go through this certification process.
So the next bullet point, you said certified. So do you have to have a certain number each year or something to do with it? What's the certification?
So they actually have a statistician and take a look at the raw data and then compare the raw data to visualization where you actually can watch people get on and off to certify that the APCs are counting correctly. So that's the process of certification. For decades, we only had about 10% of our fleet with APCs. And again, the farebox technology is, 15, 20-year-old technology. Most of the country is using APCs. The board allowed us to purchase APCs for all of our buses. Also now our APC ridership data is now certified.
The ridership report is very accurate.
Yes. That's right. Yes.
Which also
That's
helps.
a good question.
Which also helps with funding, right?
Absolutely it does.
So,
So
been years of work to get here.
Yes.
Staff has been working hard. It's pretty exciting.
So Larry in the previous meeting talked about our federal funding, the formula funding. That formula funding is based on density, it's based on miles and hours that we travel. It's also based on ridership. So having an accurate count on ridership helps in our federal funding as well.
Sorry, a good question, Casey. So how dramatic do you think the disparity is between the APC system and the former system?
It's about 12%.
Yeah.
12%?
Yes. Higher with the APCs.
And that's important to keep in mind when you look at year-over-year comparisons of ridership. Like we see some upward trends that it's great to see, but we might have had higher numbers in the past years. We just didn't have them counted just right. So, all right, safety, community outreach. I love hearing that we're in those CPS classrooms and helping out. It's all good stuff. And speaking of good stuff, we have an update on these extra board operator initiatives. Well, John, take it away.
All right, thank you, sir. Yeah, like Blake said, we're going to update the board here on a key initiative we put in place with our last labor contract. So looking back at the change, we'll walk through a real quick introduction here. We've got some newer board members weren't here at the time when we bargained this 3 years ago. That bargaining started. So what problem were we facing? We'll review some workforce challenges, the goals of the program that we put in place, and then a quick update on how that's going. All of this as a precursor to labor negotiations this fall. So as we continue to look for ways to invest in our workforce, to invest in the labor contract, and ways that also result in a better customer experience, we'll take the fruits from these initiatives to continue to develop more going forward. So one challenge we have regarding bus operators is the working conditions, the life of an extra board operator. So what is an extra board operator? We first start with all of our scheduled bus service is assigned to an operator. It's all picked. The operators actually make their selections. It's built into 5-day pieces of work. Every bit of service has an operator tied to it. But life happens, leave happens, we've got vacation, sick leave, et cetera. Well, who performs that work in somebody's absence? That's an extra board operator. So they have no set schedule by definition. They have 5 daily scheduled days, but no set work, no set time. It's about 1/6 of the operator workforce. So in a seniority system, you can imagine if you don't have those kind of set parameters around your schedule, that unattractive work will fall to the inexperienced in a seniority system, right? All things being equal, the opportunity to select your work, that's where the less desirable pieces of work had fallen historically here at Metro, to the point where 2/3 of all of that work had been done by 1/3 of the workforce. And we were dealing with rules and methods that dated back to at least 1982, if not sooner than that. So without change, as we look to attract talent and keep it, that's the job to which we're recruiting. This next slide really just gives you a visual of what that might look like. So imagine a day in the life of this extra board operator force at Bond Hill. It's a real world scenario. So 23 operators here, those that fill in as needed. This is what their work week looked like in terms of starting times. Out of 23 of them, 4 worked exclusively in the morning with morning start times, and that's it. Everybody else bounced through all times a day on a 24-hour clock. You can only imagine how challenging that is professionally and personally. So another challenge that we have with growth and turnover comes increasing inexperience. So these 2 graphs here are 2 snapshots in time of our workforce, the operator workforce, split into 3 equal sizes. On the left there, you see the data set we used as we built these 2020 bargaining initiatives. So 1/3 of the operator workforce had 5.6 years or less experience. 1/3. So as we start to target some of the work going to that group of operators, 1/3 of them had 5.5 years or less. You see what growth and turnover have done over onto the right. Snapshot in time right now. Now 1/3 of Metro operators have 4 or less years experience. So that growing inexperience with growth, turnover, something we need to continue to be cognizant of in terms of attraction and retention. So how about our solutions? Well, we revised the extra board effective a year ago now, so this is a really good time to look back and see how it performed. First thing was to improve the conditions. So operators now will select into smaller groups. Instead of having to cover the entire service day, we split our extra board operators into AM, PMs, and then a late group as well, when they will report to either cover what happens or report with an assigned run within those time periods. So we improve the conditions, we also increase the pay. This is difficult work, again, personally and professionally. You never know what you're going to get, and when you're going to get it. It is difficult. We've offered 2 pay incentives to attract operators to this work and recognize their hard work. So there's $1 an hour just for being this type of operator. But our other premium pay provision was to pay $1.50 an hour for those that drive the highest ridership routes. So if you catch one of those while also being on the extra board, double incentive. And then we wanted to offer it to all operators. This was not just about the newest operators. We know that's where the work fell, but let's improve this and offer it to everybody and see what happens in terms of how operators then make their selections. So now that we've approved or improved the conditions, the goal was to try to attract experience to the board, which then opens up those set 5-day schedules for those with less seniority. This is what that new world looks like. All 23 people, if we applied the new system to a real day and time, all 23 worked exclusively AM or PMs by choice. So how's it working? Improvements in several areas. Looking at the top left there, 4 years prior to the change, if you were a newer operator, you had about a 50% chance of having that run, that 5-day schedule that you picked. 50-50 chance. Otherwise, you're subject to the extra board. You see now in each job pick since then, as we've improved those conditions, more senior operators have gone to the extra board, freeing up set 5-day schedules for newer operators, reaching even as high as 98% of our newest operators having a 5-day schedule that they themselves selected. Huge change from the roughly 50% ratio in terms of 5-day schedule before that. Attendance is better as well, stands to reason. Next slide there, please. Attendance is better as well. If you're picking your own schedule, if the working conditions are better, you can see in the top left the absentee ranges in that 4-year data set, and then falling numbers since as we look at our newest operators. So significant improvement in absenteeism as well, having improved the conditions on the extra board. And the extra board continues to be attractive now. The orange line marks the job picks that have been in place since the change. You see the average year's experience of an extra board operator. So while overall experience is decreasing, we've nearly doubled the average years of experience on the extra board. Another key data point to see, does this remain attractive for the operators? And so far, yes, they continue to select the extra board in very high numbers. So the impact, we've nearly doubled the rate at which operators can pick their own 5-day schedule. Again, for our newest operators, their attendance is better. We've improved the working conditions. So now as we get ready for the fall, and what kind of initiatives do we want to put in place for bargaining? Let's continue to see, is this now helping retention of the newest operators, and then find additional ways to continue to improve our working conditions and then ultimately translate all of it into better service. Thank you for the time.
Jack, can I question? So what the extra board could include and will include those who have just finished a shift and may want to go on and do an extra run?
It could, yes. All of that voluntary operators can sign up, and you would go into this pool and catch what's available, right? That's going to change every day. But yes, but in your scenario there, by choice, right? The operator's choosing to do it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. It's amazing how these innovations can lead to positive outcomes
Yes.
for
Right.
the entire enterprise.
Yes.
And it's exciting to think about what more could be done in
Yes.
this next cycle. So pay attention to this so we can have those discussions. Right, thanks.
Yeah, I also just wanted to thank you for this presentation. First of all, it was a great presentation. When I tried to read it on my own, I didn't really know what I was looking at. So thanks for running through that. And I'm just sitting here thinking about the ripple effect of this on the operators and their families and their lives, and just to have that set schedule
Yes.
is just really great that we're able to offer that to more people. So thanks for your work on this.
And we're talking about years.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
This is John and his team's work. It, I don't know any other transit agency in the country that does things this way. This was very difficult to work into our bargaining agreement because it hasn't been done before, but we're really pleased how this turned out, and our employees have a much better work-life balance. Thank you.
I think it's okay to relate that a few years back when John came with some of these ideas, people were like, what are you doing? And he had to push and convince, you know.
There was a little bit of that. It
Yeah,
was-
yeah.
You look back on it, it's all fun, right?
presentation, isn't it?
It is. It's
I
like those
remember
numbers.
the time they complained if they had an extra hour added.
I like to move that John get extra hot dogs.
Second,
Yes, yes.
third, no
Yeah,
discussion.
no discussion, so ordered consent agenda.
Yes.
All right. So ridership report, Steve.
Thank you, Blake. Ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Ops Committee, Steve Anderson filling in for my colleague Matt Mormon, who's in Myrtle Beach. We have a total fixed route ridership year over year. Again, we continue to see all-time, or at least post-COVID highs for May 2023. We're at 1.1 million, a number we haven't really touched since 2019. You'll see both local express and total are 5% favorable to budget. We're doing much better than we were at this point last year. And point of privilege, it's attributable to a lot of things. The weather was a lot nice in May. You had folks that are still learning about the new service changes that were implemented back in December. And we still had CPS going for about 18 of those 22 working weekdays. Next slide. As you see, the trend line bears this out. Back in 2019, we were doing 1.1, 1.2. It's been a long time since we've seen those numbers, and we keep trending positively. May, you see, we're just a hair under 1.2 million. We continue to be an industry leader in post-COVID ridership recovery. You see ridership broken down weekday, Saturday, and Sunday. Weekday continues to do favorable to budget. One point to note is that the average weekday actually went down slightly from April, only because there are more weekdays in May. And again, you had a significant week there where there were no CPS kids, so that did drop the ridership about 25% that week. Local service productivity, we're still doing very well, almost 20 passengers per hour, which is great. Our KPI is a little bit under that. Our cost recovery is inching towards 14%. We're 3.8 percentage points higher than that. But it's all good news. We may have to look at adjusting these KPIs sometime soon in the future. I wish I could say the same for express service productivity, but it's continuing to amble along. We're at 7.4 passengers per trip. Our KPI is a little bit higher than that. Our cost recovery for express service continues to outperform the budget KPI. On-time performance, we're at 77.3%, clearly not where we aim to be. A couple things to draw to your attention. We're seeing some on-time performance challenges on Route 33. That's Glenway Avenue. Not really due to our own making. The city, if you've been down that road lately, basically put in a road diet. So we're working with them to make sure that they're timing the signals accurately to get our buses through, and we may need to add resources to this route to get the route back on time performance.
Is that the only route that's causing that concern?
No, ma'am. We're also seeing some challenges on our 43. We extended the service back in December. Folks are riding it now. It's a lot more stopping and going. So we will address that and some of our other problem routes as well with the December service change.
That area tends to be the one that's always giving the call.
We also have a much higher percentage of new operators as well.
Do those routes?
And it takes a couple of years for a new operator.
Yes. Yeah, that's where the bigger concern comes. That's where all my customers call me. So when the city, when the city is doing construction or changing the way the signals work, et cetera, do they talk to us at all?
Yeah, we're working with them a lot closer now. They're
Okay.
actually telling us about a major event that's gonna be happening here pretty soon.
Okay.
And we're working through how we're gonna.
How are you gonna do it? Okay. Because that was an issue too, the lack of communication.
Yes.
Slide 9 here, fixed route missed trips by month. You see May has taken a turn towards the unfavorable. We were doing really well, and then in May we got hit with some unfavorable numbers.
I will tell you June is much better.
I thought you were going to say that May had really nice weather. I thought you were setting that up by your earlier comment. So likely some impact on attendance, especially around paydays and such, right?
Look at August on the graph, usually has an increase. So that's not unexpected. June is much better.
Slide 10, May 2023 missed trips by date due to no operator. And then you see broken down by day, Friday and Sunday continue to be our biggest challenges. Access, which has a new member to the Metro family, Metro Now, which I'll talk about in a couple slides. There's a Scrivener's error here I would like to draw you all's attention to for the May 22 blue bar all the way to the right. That bar chart height does not reflect the 12,919 folks that rode in May 2022. Apologize for that. It's supposed to be just a little bit higher, up past the 12,000 number. Given all that, we're still doing much better this year than we were last year, and there are no APCs on the total access. So that is a ridership increase that we can all feel good about, and it's only been matched a couple times in the last 12 months. So we continue to show positivity there.
Question on that, these graphs show the free rides? So the free rides would be included? Okay.
Total access ridership by month, again, you can see the trend where we were. We have a little ways to go before we hit 20,000 pre-COVID as we were doing, but we're definitely trending in the right direction, all over 15,000 access riders. Our on-time performance access hovering right at 90%. You can see our KPI is about 94. We'll continue to work with Metro Access. Has got some shifting going on now that you have two modes coming out of that garage. So we'll continue to work with them to try to streamline them and get that number back up. You can see access, service, productivity, and cost per rider all about at where we should be at KPI. Your cost per passenger was a little bit higher than the KPI on-time performance, which I covered, and productivity is right there where it needs to be. So we'll continue to see how the service changes and the Metro Now kind of impact access.
Any reason we're seeing that cost per trip going up over the past year for access?
Cost per trip will go up as ridership is below what we expect because there's fewer passengers on the one vehicle. Also, it's cost of fuel, people cost, all of those things, parts cost, all of those things.
Okay, thanks.
All right, there's a new entry to our ridership slide. Metro Now. This ridership is just for the month of May. So, we put the service out May 22nd. So you're talking about a week's worth of ridership data. We've had almost 100 riders on Metro Now up in our first zone. We implemented, we're averaging about 10 a weekday. That's a pretty solid start. Your Sunday is one Sunday, so 14. So we won't read too much into that. But the on-time performance is outstanding. You see 96% using basically fixed route metrics. So by the time they book the trip, when it was scheduled, they're doing better than 5 minutes, give or take, on that pickup time. So that's a key metric for demand response.
I'd also like to mention that Brandy's team is also doing some local marketing. We expect the ridership on Metro Now to really go up. We're real pleased that it is working exactly like it's supposed to. We had very, very, very few hiccups in rolling out Metro Now. And this is a new mode for us. So this is the first time that we've done this, and we're really pleased at how the team has put together this new mode and how it's working. So there's a hardcore press on marketing, local marketing in these zones. So we expect this to be very successful.
Where's the the destination, majority of the destination? Is it?
We've had a little bit of everything. A lot of it's retail. We had a couple actually go out on a movie date for their first time in years. I mean, you may have heard of that. In addition, we had a booking where a resident booked 8 people, so they kind of used it like a party bus. So it was exciting to see that. So we're still new at this. It'll be really interesting to see where the destinations end up being. Yeah.
That's good.
Brandy, you've got that in the marketing, right? The party bus.
Party is here.
I took it, and it was great, and used it like a family drop off, and then my wife and daughter went off somewhere else, and then my son and I caught up using Metro Now. It was awesome. It came within 5 minutes of clicking on the app. We were from the Target up there, and the driver was incredible, super nice, super professional. Safety conscious. One thing I discovered in that is that you can't go to addresses on the other side of Reading Road in the zone. And I was wondering if we could consider, like, if there's a major road that is on a boundary of a zone, if we could include the addresses across the major road. So we were going across the major road. And I'm going to say I tried to hack the system by selecting address on the side that worked. And I was talking to the driver, and he's like, I'm not going to have you and your son cross a major road. I'm just going to drop you across the street because that's a safe thing. So I thought I'd bring that up as an idea. And it could also increase the number of destinations.
We'll take a look at that. Thank you very much. And thanks for going out and trying it. We
Oh, it's
appreciate
fun. I'm looking for any excuse I can because I'm so excited about it. and the thing is, I brought a booster seat too, and in and go, like one of these little travel booster seats. So it works for kids. And yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, the route KPIs are in your package. I don't normally go over those line by line. And any other questions? Thank you.
Any questions, ridership? All right, thank you very much. So next, we have the triennial DBE goal. And it's important to understand exactly what this is, the calculations that go into it, how do you get to that number, and knowing that we can go above this number.
Yes. So, good morning. Today we're going to discuss our federally required DBE goal methodology and our overall agency goal for the next 3 years. So first, let's talk a little bit about the program as a whole. It's called the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. The federal government created the DBE program to ensure non-discrimination in the award of DOT-assisted contracts. And if you don't know what DOT means, it is the Department of Transportation. So the Federal Transit Administration requires recipients of DOT funding to submit an updated goal every 3 years. As a condition of receiving DOT funds, we're required to administer this program. I want to note that the DBE program is separate from our SBE program, which is, the difference is DBE is federal funds and SBE is local funds. So they're separate, but the SBE program is supplemental. So our updated DBE goal methodology is due August 1st of this year. Our current goal is 7.22%. So now that we have a general understanding of the program, let's talk about our new methodology. So FTA provides a methodology in the federal circular that we use to calculate our overall goal. So this is not something that we made up on our own. We're following FTA guidance. This methodology includes a 2-step approach that allows us to adjust the base figure, which is step 1. Our first step in establishing a base figure is projecting our anticipated federally funded projects for the next 3 fiscal years. So we have 8 anticipated projects for a total of a little more than $144 million, that's a lot for us, more than the past few years for sure. So next, we determine the market area, which is important in determining how many DBE businesses exist and what our ratio will be. And our market area consists of the entire state of Ohio, with primary activity in Hamilton, Butler, Warren, and Claremont. And we encourage and solicit participation from DBE vendors across the state of Ohio. So that increases our market area outside of our operating area. We evaluated groups of NAICS codes, which stands for North American Industrial Classification System, to determine the relative availability of DBEs in various fields. And we used the Ohio Department of Transportation's UCP directory, which is their certified directory for DBEs. And we determined that the total number, of ready, willing, and able DBEs. And we also used census data to establish the total number of established firms. So the base figure, based on all that, is 15%, and that was established by dividing the number of DBE firms by the total number of firms. So let's move on to the adjustment of the base figure and our final goal. So to adjust the base figure, we considered the current capacity of DBEs to perform work in its U.S. DOT assisted contracting program as measured by the volume of work DBEs have performed in recent years. Additionally, when adjusting the base figure, we considered disparity studies and availability studies performed by the city, Hamilton County, and the Ohio Department of Transportation, all of which concluded disparities exist and confirmed the need for a goal for contracts. So seeking out the median figure for our calculations of the previous 5 fiscal years, we arranged the past participation percentage from low to high and arrived at the median number of 2%. So our final goal, to get the final goal, we added 15%, which was the base figure based on the number of DBEs and the total number of businesses. And then 2%, which is the median past participation, for a total of 17%. And we divided by 2 to get a final overall goal of 8.5% for the next triennial period. So of that goal, 1% is race neutral and 7.5% is race conscious. And what that means is we have a goal of 8.5%, but we have 2 ways to get there. So race neutral is what FTA prefers. So they require that we meet the maximum feasible portion of our goal by using race neutral means, which means we expect DBE participation without setting a goal. So some examples of race neutral is where a DBE vendor serves as a prime contractor, or DBE participation is obtained on non-goal contracts, or DBE participation is obtained beyond the goal. And race conscious is where we actively set goals on contracts and require that the goals are met or that good faith efforts are made, which is typically what we do because I don't think we're in a position yet here or society as a whole to just say that we're going to overcome that discrimination at this point. The disparities still exist. So as I wrap up this presentation, I want to thank the board for your continued support of our supplier diversity program, especially Ms. Gwen Robinson. She has been an advocate for this program and has encouraged us to do better and ultimately be better. So, any questions? I'm sure there's a lot. Yeah.
It's the I guess the term disadvantage. How do we determine whether a business is disadvantaged?
So we use a directory that's provided by the Ohio Department of Transportation. And they have specific guidelines that they follow, that the federal government says a disadvantaged business is defined as X. And it's typically minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, small businesses in certain instances. But there's a lot of other requirements that they have to go through, net worth, establishment of their business, what they perform. There's a whole host of things, but they certify them and we use their directory.
The biggest piece of that is the size of the business. And one of the things that's it's relatively confusing if you're new in this space is there are two different goals that we do. One is with federal spend. And when you're spending federal dollars, you have to follow their process for those federal dollars. So our federal goal for the federal dollars that we spend, we follow the federal process to the letter. But then we can also, for our local dollars that we spend, we can do other things. We have no ability on our federal dollars to change the goal. It's based on the federal process. So we anticipate that we'll probably come in higher than the goal we set, but we follow the federal process to set this goal. The biggest piece of that for the DBE program is the size of the business. And you have to be certified through the federal process to be a certified DBE. One of the challenges to that is you have to be certified in the state that you're doing business in. So if there's a business in Ohio that wants to be a certified DBE, federally certified DBE in Kentucky, they have to repeat that process in Ohio, in Kentucky, and every other state that they want to be certified in. So there are some challenges for those businesses.
So the Department of Transportation, I guess, is all inclusive of small businesses, minority businesses?
Yes.
Yes.
They haven't done away with the word, I guess, minority. It's
Yes.
Just, it's all, okay.
Yes.
But it still requires, and historically, and I was really hoping OKI would be strong on this, is to advocate for those changes at the federal level. You know, the verbiage and the process has always stymied. I mean, it's always a roadblock in the federal anyways. And even, you know, in our state, there's a roadblock. So we still haven't figured out how to advocate for those changes. So when you say we're the only system that's doing certain things because the others are afraid to step out of that zone. And so we really need to not only support what the staff is doing, and thank you, Daryl, for really picking up the mantle for making this happen, but we have to add the advocacy part to it, and we haven't done that piece. So that may be my next ladder. But we really need to stop it. But we need to, at some point, you know, we have, you know, we got to share it to everybody right now. But, you know, when you listen to the Supreme Court make a decision on affirmative action, we don't know where it's going to go.
So
But-
years ago, they did add some small business language to the DBE program, but they didn't set numbers or goals
That's
to that.
the big
So
issue.
we do the DBE program with the federal government, and we have our own program. So when we talk about our DBE spend, it isn't just the federal dollars. We have a separate program for all of our other dollars that we spend as well. And we always push to increase our participation even above our goals where we're able to do so.
Right. So it's still more to do. I mean, they're doing, I mean, I laugh every time we talk, how far we've come. And I mean, seriously, the staff is really on top of it, very knowledgeable, and have figured it out. But we still have to help them by advocating and promoting what we're doing and what it needs to happen. And I'm sure that the DOT is aware of it. It's just how do they stretch out as well. So there's just more work to do.
If I could add on that advocacy point, Tara and I have been in contact with the state of Ohio's DBE program administrator and the state of Kentucky's DBE program administrator to try to build a bridge of reciprocity between the certification process in Kentucky and the certification process in Ohio. Right now, a vendor in Kentucky cannot come to work on a federally funded contract at Metro because they might not be certified through the Ohio DOT's UCP program. So we're trying to build bridges and build relationships between those two entities to start to see if there's areas where we can build a reciprocity between the two certification programs. That just opens up our marketplace of available certified vendors to participate in these federally funded contracts.
Thank you.
And we do work with both. You know, when I find any business that's certified in one area that's not in the other, I refer them to DOT, ODOT, or KYTC, and their incents to get certified. And we also have a partnership with ODOT. We have 2 events coming up tomorrow in Columbus, and they've invited us to work with them on a presentation about their DBE program and our DBE program. So we're trying to get our name out there and support them. We're also part of APTA's DBE committee as well, so we're definitely trying.
And we're developing and going to be executing here very soon a memorandum of understanding and agreement with the Small Business Administration. They are a direct voice to the DOT's DBE arm in Washington that can help us impact some of those changes that you're talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
Could I just make a comment before we move on from this? I don't have any questions, but I do want to commend everyone. This is some of the best. This is frankly like one of the most encouraging presentations I think we've had since I've been on the board, and that was really mostly what I want to say. But Gwen Robinson, thank you for your leadership on this. I know this has been near and dear to you for a long time, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you,
It's
Gwen.
really a sustainable method for our community. I mean, we really need to look at the when we talk about the economics and the sustainability, Sonia, this is a message you can take back, that this is very important. So it's more than just finding people to be a part of our program. It's about our whole community. It's about our whole region.
Right.
It's about the people.
I want to emphasize, I have to push for more businesses that we can include, because I look at those BRT numbers and the percentages, and we need to make sure we have local businesses that can participate in that BRT to hit this goal, exceed the goal, and have to be thinking down the line. So it'd be exciting for our community, the amount of spend coming for the BRT, and have that go to local businesses.
That's a good point.
Yep.
All right, good stuff. Now, I think we have to vote to approve this, and so that we're approving the submission of the triennial goal of, what was the number, 8.5?
8.5. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. 15 plus 2 divided by 2. Yeah. Okay, so would anybody like to move the approval? Oh,
Second.
gotcha. Probably moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say left. Any abstentions? Great. Passes. And I think that can go on the consent agenda with a positive comment on it. Okay, great.
Thank you.
So we have 4 procurement items, and all of them very interesting and different. Andy, are you going to take us through that?
Sure, I
Yeah.
can give you a high-level view of these 4, and we can jump into any individual ones. We have our project managers and our procurement team here to help. The first one, 65-2018, is adding funds to an existing contract. As you saw in our CFO's presentation, we're running a little ahead of budget in terms of fuel expense because of the rising fuel costs. This just adds dollars to that existing contract to get us through the end of that contract term, which is December 23. Between now and December 23, we'll go back out to the market for a new contract. This just adds enough funds within that contract to get us to the finish line, so to speak. The second one is our digital commuter alerts. This is software that allows us to send text messages and emails to commuters who sign up through our website. Very useful tool, and this is for a 3-year contract with a technology provider. The third is very typical routine pest control services. That was an IFB that was released to the community. 5-year contract, part of our local operating budget. And last, as mentioned by our chair, our fixed route bus contract. As we've talked about recently in our alternative fuels presentation, we really have 2 bus contracts that we use. One is for our typical diesel and hybrid buses that we purchase as a matter of course to keep our fleet in good shape. And we have our alternative fuels electric vehicle opportunities as well. That's a separate contract. We need this diesel and diesel electric hybrid contract when we need to purchase buses and we haven't been awarded federal funds for alternatively fueled vehicles. we need to replace our oldest buses in due course. This is a contract that was, it's a joint procurement. This is the second contract year or contract period, I guess you could say, where we have gone jointly with Tank in Northern Kentucky, Louisville and Lexington for fixed route buses. We get better pricing when we do essentially consortium purchasing. So with that, this is a 5-year contract with Gillig for fixed route buses. I guess at this point, we can see if there are any individual questions about any of those individual procurements. The action item documents are in the packet as well, we can refer to.
And right before you go there, I'd just like to recognize John and Tara. Last year, our diversity spend for the year, I believe, was $4.3 million. Through June, we are already at $4 million this year.
Through May, Daryl.
Thank you, John. Through May, we are already at $4 million this year.
I'm sure there are some questions. Anybody want to start off? All right, I have a question. Fuel, $4 a gallon. I see lower prices on the street.
Yeah, does somebody want to speak to that on the procurement side, or Jeff on our fuel? Jason? Here, Jason, you mind coming so we can?
The question had to be asked.
Yeah. The ICE was developed using a U.S. market index. It's kind of the trends and the rates. Our region is relatively under $4, but on a national level, that's what we used.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the way it works is we actually bid it out and purchase it month by month as we use it, but we have to have a contract to cover a period.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your.
Explain how we purchase diesel fuel.
Our diesel fuel is actually, once every 3 years, we come to the board with a list of qualified vendors who can supply diesel fuel in the area.
Gas.
I'm sorry?
This isn't diesel, is it? Is it
No,
gas?
this particular contract is just gasoline.
Yep.
And right now, we do not have on-site gasoline fueling capabilities, so we're actually purchasing the fuel from a retail vendor.
So we're installing the necessary capital and tanks and stuff so that we can actually fuel on site next year?
That's right.
Okay. In which case, we'll probably be able to purchase at a lower price.
That's when the purchase of gasoline will match our diesel fuel purchase process, which is basically quarterly solicitations to all of the qualified vendors that we identify in triennial periods. And then we award monthly purchases to the lowest vendor for that particular month.
Okay.
John,
And
with
then- go ahead.
sorry, just for clarification, with this gasoline contract, we're not locking in at $4 a gallon.
That's correct.
We're
This
paying
is not a
market
pre-purchase.
prices with fuel cards, right, with the vendor.
Correct.
So we're paying market prices, but we need a dollar amount to estimate our not to exceed authority from the board.
That's thank you very much.
Yeah, this
for
is
that,
not a
'cause-
prepaid contract.
Right.
I
it's
didn't want
not-
us paying
right.
$4
We'll pay
a
as
gallon.
we go based on market price.
Okay.
But in order for us to spend with this vendor, we've exceeded our existing authority for the board. We need to add money to the contract. We used a $4 estimate plus an estimate of fuel usage over the remaining life of the contract to receive that authority.
And the other thing is, this is a significant modification for a part of the year, and that's because we're putting Service Now, or
Metro Now.
That's my.
And it's
Metro
also
Now.
because we're at the end of this contract, and we've been paying higher prices throughout the contract, and we need to add funds. We're not adding just the delta. We've run out of funds, so we need to add all of the dollars that we will spend in the remaining calendar year because we spent at a higher rate in the first part of the contract. If that makes any sense.
The original
To
contract.
approve this, no Metro Now, no non-revenue vehicles rolling. We have to have this fuel, right?
Yes.
The original contract was let in 2018 when fuel prices were not such a pain point. These days, it's not quite the case.
So we almost made it to the finish line, but not quite with the authority that was provided in 2018.
Those are my questions. Anybody else?
Very good questions.
That's fairly respectable that you made it this far.
There you go.
We're going to take that as a compliment.
It
There you
is,
go.
it
There you
is.
go.
You should.
So am I to understand that each month we use a different vendor based upon the cost?
No, sir. In the diesel process, when we purchase diesel, once a quarter, we issue a solicitation. We receive bids in from different fuel vendors. For the months in that particular quarter, we will award to the lowest priced vendor for that month. So yes, it is possible on the diesel purchase that we could receive fuel from 3 different vendors during a specific quarter.
But not on the gas side?
I'm sorry?
But not on the gas side?
No,
Okay.
gasoline, we don't buy it in bulk right now. We only purchase gasoline in a point of sale as needed capacity.
But we're putting the infrastructure in to be able to do that next year, so we'll
Okay.
have a big gas tank. I don't know what to call it. All right.
I have questions.
Great.
I have questions about the final, the $105 million.
Yep.
Just for clarification, so are we entering into a contract with Tank and Lextran and Tark? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Tark.
Yeah, so like we're entering into this with them, right?
Correct. So this is very typical. Tank was the lead agency. You want to talk a little bit about
Yeah, I
it?
just want to clarify. So the procurement activity that generated the contract that we'll execute was a regional partnership amongst all of those individual providers. The actual contract will be solely with Gillig and Metro.
Okay, for how much?
So
$105 million. So it's what we call an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract. What we specified during the solicitation was the minimum number of vehicles we're going to purchase under contract and the maximum number we may purchase throughout the 5-year period. The contract value that you see, the $105 million, is the total number of maximum value vehicles that we may purchase through that 5-year period at the base price as it sits today. We may purchase all 200, we may purchase significantly less than the 200, but that we give a dollar value, maximum dollar value of $105 million that allows us to purchase at the base price plus whatever options we select for that particular bus build when it goes into production. And then as the base price and the price of the subcomponents fluctuate due to the producer price index, and there's market pressures that cause that, the base price will tend to fluctuate a little bit up and down throughout the life of the contract. As we set it up this way, this allows us to evaluate what those are, establish a base price for the unit during that particular purchasing cycle, however many units we can afford to purchase at that particular time. This allows us to go ahead and take immediate action on it without having to make contract modifications or issue change orders when things like the base price change or when things like individual subcomponent prices change.
Thank you. And then how often do we do this? Like,
we try to do once a year.
oh, once a year? Okay.
You mean when you say do this,
Like enter
purchase
into-
buses?
yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
like at this level.
correct. Well, so this is a 5-year contract, and the FTA limits how long a rolling stock contract can be to 5 years. So this covers our next 5-year period. We're ending one that was created in 2018.
Okay.
Every year, we look at our fleet and we look at what grants we received for alternative fuel vehicles. We look at what buses are coming out of the fleet, so on and so forth. And then we issue a purchase order with Gillig that could be, as many as 25 and as few as 0 on an annual basis. And that's based on, our fleet needs from our operations team.
Okay. And then is it typical that only one, would respond? Gillig, is that our typical vendor?
So it's a great question. I think in the industry, we're down to probably 3, major suppliers of 40-foot fixed route buses in the industry. John, you can probably talk a little bit about it, but in this market, it happens to be that Gillig has very competitive pricing, and a lot of the systems that were part of this bid have a lot of Gillig fleets, which means they have a lot of Gillig parts. So from a cost and efficiency perspective, I think that they put together a very strong proposal, and I think the market might know that.
Andy's correct. There are 3 primary players in the 40-foot bus market space. Our partners in the procurement had different requirements relative to the size of the vehicle, the propulsion system of the vehicle. It wasn't just diesel. There were a lot of alternative vehicles awarded as part of this contract as well. And some of those major players don't have alternative vehicle options available to them. So they wouldn't have participated if they didn't feel they could be competitive in those other spaces. As Andy mentioned, all of the agencies that are participating in the procurement are predominantly Gillig fleets. And the competition, the marketplace knows that. They understand, they have full agency profiles for every single one of those agencies, and they recognize that their ability to compete against Gillig, as Andy mentioned, who has the best pricing in the market, probably wasn't as high as they'd hoped, and so they just chose not to participate.
Thank you.
So we have to have a contract in place to buy buses. And this is 25 to 200. And so we're authorizing for $529 a bus for up to 200 buses
Right.
over the next 5 years.
Right, with the producer price index that adjusts once a year.
And our configurations, though, are going to be probably considerably higher than $529 per bus.
Correct. Once options, so the contract also specifies the price for options. So, for example, if you want to purchase a hybrid, that's a big option, right? And that option will cost probably around $200,000. And we typically make those recommendations based on grant awards from our finance department. If they're able to go out and get certain grants, or if the capital funding makes sense that we go down the hybrid direction, we can execute those options on an annual basis with each bus order. There are smaller options, like what kind of seats do we want, right? And so if you pick this seat or that seat, it might add, $2,200 to each bus or something along those lines. So it's essentially a menu of set prices, and each year, based on our operation need, we make a purchase order under that contract. And this is the exact same structure that was created in 2018 for our previous fixed route bus contract.
And for our new board members, all of the 40-foot buses that we buy them with federal dollars. And they're either 80, 20, 70, 30, where the government pays for 70 to 80% of the cost of the vehicles. I don't remember when the last time we paid cash for a bus. They're all through federal grants.
So this is an important component to the overall fleet replacement, alternative fuel facility strategy. We have to have this in place. But we are going to try and push for other types of vehicles as our strategy evolves. Remember, we have that flexible strategy that we discussed a couple months ago. All right. Any other questions on commuter alerts or pest control? All right. Well, I think we need to vote on each of these. Please let me know if you think any of these should be off the consent agenda. Otherwise, they'll all go consent agenda. So I'm going to move the non-revenue gas and diesel fleet modification.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say left. Any abstentions? All right. Digital commuter alerts, this is actually a great thing. I'm just going to comment on it, communicate with our writers, make sure they're aware of any changes. Any questions, concerns? Anybody else want to move this?
I'll move it.
All right, properly moved, seconded.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say left. Any abstentions? All right. Pest control services, 682023. For anybody who saw the video when we didn't have pest control
I don't
many years ago,
I want to see.
let's go ahead and vote on this.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
2023.
Well, hang on, I didn't see the video.
We'll talk after.
Yes.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, they're mighty big.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say left. Any abstentions? All right. And the big one, the fixed route bus contract with Gillig. I'm going to move this. A second?
Second.
Additional questions, concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say left. Any abstentions? Okay, so that passes all on the consent agenda. I have to say, the $106 million kept me awake, just because authorizing that much money is quite a thing. But this is a big enterprise. We're doing lots of big things, so it fits with what we're doing. And I think that covers everything. All right, last month, I forgot something, so. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the board meeting next week in the evening, right?
Oh, okay.